and we have an amazing guest today to join the conversation about the Karen Reed case and the injuries to John O'Keefe's right arm that people are trying to tell us was not caused by an animal attack or a dog attack of any kind, but was caused by a low-speed motor vehicle accident. First thing we're going to do, actually, is we're going to look at my appearance, the last part of my appearance on Court TV, in which I tried to say that from looking at the autopsy photos of John O'Keefe's right arm and my experience as a 30-year litigator of car accidents and other injury cases, including dog bite cases, by the way, that in my opinion, I thought the injuries were caused by an animal attack, but I was quickly shut down by another expert on the panel. So let's just take a look at this so that my guest will know what we are talking about.
Okay, all my guests back with us, Melanie Little, Peter Ellikin, and Jennifer Koffendorfer. Melanie, which case is easier to prove? That he was murdered in the house or that he was murdered by Karen Reed?
I have so many questions. I think it's easier to prove that he was murdered in the house.
Tell me why.
In my opinion. I mean, where's the dog? Where's the dog? I saw the photos of John's right arm that were taken at his autopsy. They have what clearly looks to me to be like animal scratches on them. All of a sudden, the family dog of 7 years, they had a German Shepherd in the house. The family dog is gone. They rehomed the dog. The dog is missing. The dog's DNA cannot be tested to see if those were, in fact, animal scratches. You know, there's a cocktail glass allegedly on the lawn. They never searched the inside of the house. Why did they never go inside the house to see if they had those type of glasses inside the house? Why was the basement flooring ripped up? The house was sold. Why did this police officer who owned the house and his wife never come out of their house to look at the scene when there is a dead police officer on their lawn? I have so many questions. And I think at the end of the day, the jury is going to have to decide the facts. And if we have so many questions from looking at these facts, I think a jury is going to have a lot of questions too.
Jennifer, which case is easier to prove?
Oh, without a doubt, the case that he was hit by Karen Reed. She had the motive. These are not dog scratches. That has been said by two medical examiners, separate medical examiners that examined him. Also, there were samples sent to a lab in California to test for non-human or canine DNA. Negative. So I find it so interesting that people want to look at a picture and all of a sudden they're medical examiners, they're doctors with PhDs, and they can say these are dog scratches. Second to the point there, Brian Albert, they sold their house months and months after that. Also, they had a leak downstairs in the basement that resulted in quite a lot of damage, and that's why the flooring was replaced. As far as the dog, Chloe got into a fight with another dog in that neighborhood. And during that fight, one of the neighbors went to separate the two dogs and was scratched or bitten. And it was decided amongst the people that they would go ahead and rehome the dog as opposed to making an even larger deal out of it. So there are very logical explanations, but these are the types of innuendos that have been completely blown up.
After that appearance, I started to think that maybe I was in the Twilight Zone. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this absolutely did come from a car. But having handled motor vehicle accidents and dog bite cases for the entirety of my 30-year career, I knew that I wasn't crazy, but I needed some validation, not only from you, because all of you, I believe, feel the same way that I do, but I wanted to go to an expert, a canine trainer, someone who is retired from the Miami Police Department, who has a YouTube channel with over 1.7 million subscribers. And he's here today. But before we go to Garrett, I want to show you, refresh your recollection as to the timeline of events here that the defense showed in court as part of the motion hearing argument to obtain the animal control records of Chloe, the German Shepherd owned by Brian Albert and his family. So here's the exhibit that was shown in court by the defense with the timeline. February 2017, this picture was taken with the family, the Albert family, and here's a little picture of Chloe. That's all that we really have. In 2019, the Albert family registers ownership of its German Shepherd, Chloe. January 29th of 2022, John O'Keefe suffers what they are saying is not animal scratch and puncture wounds, which are unexplained by the prosecution. And here's a picture that was taken at autopsy of John O'Keefe's right arm. In May of 2022, the defense began its investigation into the injuries of John O'Keefe. And then also in May of 2022, the Alberts inform the Canton Animal Control that Chloe was allegedly rehomed out of state. And here's where they were at present when this was shown in court. The Commonwealth continues to, I can't read what that says, release the defense access to tissue samples obtained from O'Keefe's arm for DNA analysis. And we did go over that. We looked at the emails between the attorneys. Either the tissue samples were lost or they were never taken. And without further ado, I am going to bring in my guest for today's show, Garrett Wing, who has a YouTube channel. I have linked his channel below. And please give a warm welcome to our guest, Garrett. Hello, Garrett.
Hey, thank you so much, Melanie, for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Why don't
my
you tell the viewers about your channel, tell us first about your background and your experience.
I can pretty much guarantee you have seen more dog bites than most any medical examiner. And I would say that because people don't often die from dog bites. Very rare, even police dog bites, which can be very serious and very gruesome. So I don't think medical examiners get to see a lot of dog bites on dead bodies. It just doesn't happen. Now, we're talking about gunshot wounds, and I'd be a little bit out of my league there. But when it comes to dog bites, I can't even tell you how many I have seen. I don't even know there's so many cool videos to show you. There's some behind the scenes stuff that we don't normally share. But I thought your viewers would find it interesting how we get police dogs to bite and kind of the mechanics of the bite. And some of the, like I said, the equipment that we use. And I actually brought some. So if this interests you at all, let me know. But this is a typical bite sleeve. And we use this basically to allow the dog to bite as hard as they want, but to protect ourselves. These come in different grades, thicknesses, and they get thinner and thinner or thicker as you need them. But as we start progressing and trying to get the dogs to actually, one of the hardest things to teach a police dog to do actually is bite human flesh. It's very hard to do because dogs, generally speaking, are man's best friend. And so to get them to actually go from biting equipment to actually biting real human flesh, some dogs, it's a very easy transition. Those are those harder dogs, a little bit crazier. But most of the time, we actually have a hard time getting them to commit to a bite. And so a dear friend of mine, actually, Steve Sprouse, who's been in the police canine world for probably almost 4 decades, invented this equipment that I want to show you now. Mm-hmm. And his company is called Arm & Lagan. And what he does is he creates these prosthetic limbs specifically made for teaching police dogs how to bite. And this particular one has a little bit more than a handful of bites on it. The idea here being we set up a scenario, a training scenario with a bad guy. I'll play the bad guy, let's say. The dog, by the way, does not know it's a training scenario. That's the ticket. That's the trick. In all dog training, by the way, whether it's pet dogs or police dogs, they don't know whether they're training or not. We try to make it as real to life as possible. So the dog comes out, we hide, dog finds the bad guy, and the only thing we try to make available is this, because this is the only thing stopping us from getting really bit. There's no other protection. And I want to show you, you see the lacerations that are caused from dog bites? You're not really seeing punctures. It looks as if this was stabbed with a knife. Now, that's the closest to a puncture. But for the most part, it's ripping. It's a ripping type thing. Dogs bite and they pull. And at the same time, we are naturally pulling back to create our own back tension, which is exactly what a rabbit would do in the wild. You know what I mean? A rabbit doesn't, we call them, there's no such thing as suicide bunnies. If a bunny or any other prey item is getting bit, their whole objective is to get away, get away, get away. And that's where you get the lacerations that happen. So that's one piece. And here's another one. By the way, tell me if this doesn't look kind of similar to something we may see a little later. Pretty interesting, right? Don't mind the discoloration. This was just a funky mold. But again, look at the lacerations. And I have to kind of spread it because of the material, but they're more like cut wounds. And you can see the angle, right? It's pretty consistent depending upon how you present it. So hopefully your viewers find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And if
Would
you
there go ahead? Let me just go ahead. Finish before you, and then I'll. Would
I was
there
gonna
be?
say if
Yeah,
you wanted to see a video of a dog actually doing it.
yeah, we do totally. But we're saying, could you explain bite marks on one side of the arm? Maybe can't see all the photos, and Jo could have wounds under. Sorry if duplicate. I have not seen any photos of the inside of the arm. So let us know in your experience what you see in these types of dog attacks.
Sure. So yeah, sometimes you will not see like a mirror image of the bite. Sometimes it really is. It's just like you see here. It's very hard to tell where the top tooth was, the bottom tooth was, where's the matchup. You know, those top canines tend to do the most damage. But it's very hard to match up. Like, is this the top? Is this the bottom? Is this from one bite? Or is that one canine? Is this a different bite? Very tricky to tell. It's not like a vampire bite, you know, where it's two here and two here. It's never looks like that. And one of the hardest things to do, one of the not fun parts of my job as a police canine supervisor is writing bite reports. I cannot tell you how many bite reports I have done. And one of the parts of the bite report that is very important is to document in as much detail as possible the actual injury. And so, yeah, you could say he had a dog bite on the arm. Yeah, but it was actually, and this is, trust me when I say this, how do you have a 3 laceration dog bite? Meaning sometimes the dog bites are pretty straightforward. It's a single bite. And when we look at the injury, it's 1 or 2 cuts here and 1 on the bottom. And then I'm like, I'd have to call the canine handler like, hey, correct me if I'm wrong, man. Is your dog missing a canine tooth? Which happens. Sometimes they get pulled out, ripped out, whatever. He's like, no, I just got all 4. I'm like, well, I don't know how we only got 3 lacerations, but sometimes the dog's coming in at an angle. Mm-hmm. It's not always just a perfect bite. And the other thing that you see with untrained dogs or dogs that are, whether it's a police canine washout or it's just a dog who doesn't know how to bite, wasn't trained to bite, is you will see what's called shallow biting. Shallow biting is when they only use their canines to bite, and it creates a lot more of those lacerations versus police dogs, trained dogs to bite. We teach them to bite and hold and bite deep. I actually sent this photo to 2 other police canine handlers and who are also trainers who themselves have seen countless bites. Probably between us, we've seen, hundreds each. And I didn't say anything. I said, what are your thoughts on this? And they said, there was 0 question that this is a dog bite. 0 question to them. Their thought, though, was that this was a police dog that probably should have been washed out. This is not what we want to see on a police dog bite. We don't want to see constant re-engagements, which is what this looks like. But this is what I would expect from, like, that German Shepherd we saw bite that lady, the delivery driver, right? Just naturally going in, doing as much damage as possible, not understanding the mechanics of biting deep and holding. These, in my opinion, are bites utilizing the front of the mouth. Furthermore, I had seen video, and I could be wrong, but when Mr. O'Keefe was last seen on that surveillance camera in the bar, it appears like he's wearing a long sleeve shirt, almost like a sweater maybe.
Yeah, somebody was asking that exact question. So let me pull up that exact question, but keep going.
And this is exactly indicative of a dog. And we see this even with trained police dogs. When someone's wearing baggy clothing or long sleeves or jeans or a jacket, you're going to get these more shallow bites. The dog's constantly trying to get a grip on the prey. And of course, the prey item is moving away, and you're going to get these. This is what's considered shallow bite marks. This is a dog trying to get a grip, but the only thing that's sinking in are those front teeth. And the biggest thing that kind of stood out to me, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but this bite right here, so I'm even calling it a bite. I'm trying to stay objective here, but
Okay.
these look like, and you see this a lot with shallow bites. What it looks like is this is maybe the left canine, maybe the bottom right canine, or the canine here, but these.
Is there a way for you to enlarge that photo
Let's
on
see.
your screen? Yeah, there we go. It's a V
This looks
shape.
like the front teeth. Think of the dog's, let's say potentially the teeth were here, the bottom teeth were here. These little ones here are the little, and I'm not a veterinary dentist by any means. These are the small little baby teeth. Actually have a very crude example here. I don't know if you guys can still see me or if I have to stop.
Yeah, I'm going to give you, I'll give you the full screen.
Don't mind this. We use this for one of our videos. Not the canines, but these little teeth right here. When you get a shallow bite, that's what it looks like. And I can actually pull up another picture of a dog bite that we know is a dog bite. And you're going to see the same kind of, I don't know if you want to call it striations, but those front baby teeth also causing damage. So I'll stop sharing for a second and then I'll reshare.
So Olivia asked, can the dog bite and scratch through sweatshirt sleeves, long sleeves on long sleeve shirt?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's when you're going to see, again, more shallow biting, less punctures, because the dog keeps trying to get a grip, but that material offers just a little bit of protection and makes the material slip more, which gets you more of that kind of striping or laceration. So
Janine says, I was under the impression Chloe was a failed police trained dog. So what we want to do is talk about both scenarios. How a German Shepherd specifically would behave as a trained canine dog, and how one would behave if it was a household pet, and how one would behave if it was a failed canine dog. And I know that you have some video to show us. So let me know which one you want to handle first.
Sure. So I came across this video just in my own research of what I do daily. We do a lot of reviews of dog bites and dog fights and things like that. So this is fairly recent. This is actually from my hometown where I grew up in South Florida, Cooper City, which is a small town outside of Fort Lauderdale. And so I'll share my screen here. And this is a delivery driver, fairly recent. I'd say this is 3 or 6 months old. She comes and delivers a package. I guess she left something, so she comes back. And you're going to see a German Shepherd that I am very confident has little to no training. This is not a police dog. Okay. And you will see, because what I want to kind of frame here is you don't need to be a trained police dog. You don't need to be a trained protection or, quote, attack dog to be a dog and bite someone. There are a lot of dogs out there biting people left and right with little to no training. And when we get into it further and we talk about the actual injuries, it actually plays into the dog that if he was bit, that doesn't look like a police dog bite, in my opinion. And we'll talk about that. But let's go ahead and show you this video and see what you all think about it. I'll get to the part where this is her after the bite, and I want you to kind of pay attention to the type of injuries you're seeing. And the thing that I want to just continue to point out is the type of injury. A lot of people think of dog bites are puncture wounds. It's very rare that a dog bite is a puncture wound. They are often lacerations. Think of it as sticking a knife in and pulling, because naturally that's what dogs do. They bite their prey and they pull. And or if you were to get bit by a dog, the very first thing you'll try to do is pull away, and it creates those types of injuries. So let's go ahead and go into the video here. This is after the woman is bit. She's in her car and she's a little shooken up, and you can see right here, and we'll play it in a minute, but this is not a puncture wound. This is a laceration from a dog bite. I do and then
dog attack.
Watch how quickly this goes down. Again, very confident that this is not a protection dog. This is a German Shepherd doing what German Shepherds were bred to do for hundreds of years. Protect their home.
That attack captured by her own dash camera.
All I can say was, help me, help me. I thought I was going to die.
Deanna Riveros needed more than 30 stitches.
I'm going to go back to that. See the laceration?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not a puncture wound, but we're all pretty clear this is a dog bite.
Yep.
She got bit. The weight of the dog alone biting and trying to pull its prey down to the floor, and her potentially pulling away is what causes this. Especially too, and we see this a lot in police canine work, when the dogs bite, we are actually taught to provide what's called back tension, and it makes the dog bite harder. And or when you see police canine handlers who aren't as good as they should be, when they go to remove a dog off of a bite, they're often doing what's called a choke off. And you can call it a choke off. It's more of like a rip off. And they will actually grab the collar of the dog, especially these really high just high drive dogs in general, which we train all day, every day. And we're basically telling them, never let go. Hold on. No matter what happens, don't let go. And oftentimes you'll see police dogs. This is a story for another day, but they often do not let go on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth command, because they're like, make me. And so you're forced to pull the dog off, and it creates really, really bad, nasty lacerations. And I'd also say that this interaction probably lasted no more than 15 or 30 seconds. So imagine what a dog bite looks like when the fight takes place over 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. You're going to get a lot more damage. All right, so let's check this one out.
On it. All right. There, he's on it.
Watch your hand. Watch your hand. Yep.
This is your hand.
Use your other hand. Yep.
Yep. I'm going to switch with you in a second, and you're going to take that hand.
Put it up here. I got you.
And a little pressure that way with the heel.
Good.
Don't be afraid.
Still.
You're safe here on top.
Good,
You can wrap your
Stella.
fingers.
Good.
How far?
It's starting to tear through.
Good, Stella.
One more. All right, now. Good.
Take them off.
Good. That was good.
And you see how much ripping happens, right? Rip the newspaper right off. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you tell us about German Shepherds generally as a breed? Assuming that Chloe was either a washout, as you say, or was not a trained police canine at all.
Yeah, I would lean towards it probably not even being a washout. Again, it's very atypical to have a female dog even potential to go through police canine training. I'm saying it's not unheard of, but it's very rare. But again, I don't even think that's the case. I think it's just your typical German Shepherd that has lineage of what we call working line German Shepherds, because not all German Shepherds are created equal, right? So it's very much in the DNA of a German Shepherd to be a guardian, a protector. And again, they don't need to be trained to do that. And yet, what can trigger a German Shepherd to do that?
Yeah.
Or any dog, but especially these power breeds. It can be just stranger danger. They know who belongs in their pack and who doesn't. But for sure, what can instigate a dog to want to bite someone is seeing violence between two humans or even between two dogs. It's like this pack mentality. They jump in almost like a feeding frenzy.
In this same vein, Joey just saying, says, are German Shepherds more prone to continue biting people after a major attack? Would that explain the next two bites?
Yes. So there's some names for it, if you will, but when they get a rep like that under their belt, we kind of call it like a boxer who gets its first win, start getting a little cocky, a little confident, and feeling like, yeah, first off, it worked out for me this time. And dogs can be pretty simple creatures. When I feel threatened, like look at that German Shepherd, zero hesitation. It bit that police officer because it's been doing that. It's been rehearsing that for, at that point, probably months and months, if not years. When I see someone I don't like, I lash out at them, and either mom removes me from the situation, which makes me feel better, or they run away. Oh yeah, you better run away. I'm going to get you next time. And so the dogs, even though they might not be biting each time, they are playing that out. And then, yes, 100% dogs that have bit before are much more likely to bite a second, third, fourth, fifth time. Same thing with our police dogs. Like I said earlier, it's very hard. One of the hardest things to do is to get a dog to actually bite someone. But once they kind of cross that bridge, that's it. Like you don't have to worry about it anymore. They just have to get that first bite under their belt, and then they're good to go.
And then other people are saying, how confident are you that those injuries are from a dog attack? Oh, let me say, do you? Okay, here we go.
Does this work?
Yep, perfect.
Just the more and more I look at it, the more and more I'm convinced, you know, I would bet money that this is a dog bite.
Let me ask you a question on this picture on the right here. There it looks to what looks to be a giant bump on his right bicep above the first two lacerations, I'm going to call them. Can a dog dislocate a person's shoulder by latching on like that? I saw one of your videos where you said, and the dog actually came after you with one of those, what do you call the protective device that you wear on your right arm when you're training?
Yeah, sleeve.
Yeah, and you said, it feels like I dislocated my shoulder. I'm just wondering if that is something that could happen, because I don't know what that, I'm not a medical examiner.
It would have to be an extremely well-trained dog that is very powerful to bite and hold, and then in combination with a handler using 200 pounds of their own body weight to pull the dog. When could this happen? Let's say a suspect's hiding in a closet, refusing to come out. We've seen that happen. They're in a car, they're like seat belted in. I've been in situations like that. That dog has got a really good grip, and we use the 80, 90, 100 pounds worth of dog, the 200 pounds plus of me, and we yank with all of our might. Yeah, maybe you could dislocate a shoulder, but it is not typical for a dog by itself to dislocate a shoulder.
Okay. It says also John's autopsy wasn't done until 2 days later. So these wounds, the pictures of these wounds might look slightly different because of that. And yeah, I think we have to take that into consideration too.
Yeah, and you can even see what looks like swelling to me. It's very typical of dog bites is to have swelling, but who knows? But these, I don't know how else you explain these, but this is very, very typical of puncture / lacerations. And this here too looks like it'd be caused by canines, but this is the one that sticks out the most to me.
Can you enlarge that photo a little bit?
Yeah.
It's a V shape. I can see from here. Yeah, it looks like a V shape.
Yeah. And again, to me, that looks like the front teeth getting a very shallow bite, but this looks like very typical dog bites to me, like very typical.
And you've seen quite a few dog bites.
A lot. Yeah.
22 years of training canine dogs and police dogs, and as an actual police officer. I just want to address this one more comment, because I do not think this person may have tuned in late. So let's just say this louder, a little louder for the people in the back, or the people that are tuning in late, who say, I don't see punctures, I see lacerations, but not dog bites. No offense to your guest.
Yeah, and again, having seen countless dog bites, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, it is extremely rare to see puncture wounds on a dog bite. They are almost always lacerations. Always. I mean, like I said, here you go. This is as close as we can get. Lacerations. That's what they look like. And the more untrained the dog is, the more likely it is to be a laceration than to be a puncture wound, because again, they're biting, they're pulling, you are also pulling away. They are going to be lacerations 99 out of 100 times, as you see here, right? Just lacerations. That's what it looks like. The ripping of flesh.
Thank you. So to those who say those are paw scratches, you say?
No. Paw scratches wouldn't do that. Maybe from a lion or a bear, but...
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks to the mods for keeping it classy today. Thank you to Garrett Wing for coming to visit us. He's got 1.7 million YouTube subscribers, so he's doing something right, my friends. Go follow his channel. And thank you to everyone, the replay viewers. Please leave your DNA on the like button. It's free. So is hitting the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you'll know when I go live. Go follow Garrett. And like I always say, my friends, be cool, be kind, be classy. It's not hard. Be respectful in the comments. Peace.
Thank you, everyone.